Here we go. This is Skip 101, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Look, I've worked with dozens of former star athletes on television, former stars from baseball, football, golf, and hockey, and of course from the NBA. And never have I had more fun working with a former star than I had with this man, Paul Pierce. Paul is as basketball smart as he is funny and witty and just flat out entertaining. You can see him now on FS1 Speak with my friends Joy Taylor and Keyshawn Johnson. And now I get to have just a little bit more fun with Paul here on Skip 101. I missed you, man. Been watching
I miss you, man.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. But before we get to NBA playoffs, and it is that time, I want to talk for a minute about your game, your career, and the fact that, to me, you were always very honest about the fact that as you came up out of Inglewood High School out here in LA, you never considered yourself the most explosively athletic. You just had a knack and a gift for scoring the basketball. Go a little deeper into that. How did you see yourself as a junior and senior in high school?
Well, I was more of a late bloomer, Skip, because I didn't get invited to all the national camps, hearing about guys like Kevin Garnett, Allen Iverson, Felipe Lopez, and these guys. And believe it or not, I got invited to the national camp 1 week before the camp started at the end of my junior year. And then I think from that point on, I made the leap. I grew about 3 or 4 inches between sophomore and junior year. And that's when I really made the leap, and I made my name for myself on the national scene from junior to senior year that summer when I was rated one of the top 5 players in the Adidas camp that I went to.
Okay.
And I always had the knack of shooting the ball because I always started off like a point guard until I grew, and then I went from point guard to center back to the wing. So I played all the positions. That's why I had a well-rounded game.
Yeah.
But
yet you weren't an explosive leaper. You could jump, but you weren't. That wasn't your whole game, right?
No, not at all. Like, see, people rely. It's crazy. Like the guys who are so athletic young, and then when they lose that athleticism, they don't know what to do. It's like their game changes. And I always had a game to where if I didn't have athleticism, I worked on my footwork, my jumper. Angles and things like that. I was a true student of the game, though, because I like a lot of my idols weren't even that explosive. Like Magic Johnson, I watched growing up. I watched Steve Smith at Michigan State.
The good one. Yep.
Yes. Jimmy Jackson, Ohio State. These is guys I kind of try to pattern my game after. Mitch Richmond. Them is guys I tried to pattern my game about. Bigger guards who, kind of a little stocky like me and just was strong and can knock down shots.
And yet, the one thing about, as crazy as this might sound to you, having worked with you, I'm always amazed by how tall you are, because you are a full 6'7", and there are times I thought you were closer to 6'8". It just felt like that.
Yeah, everybody always, whenever I see people in person, they was like, dang, I thought you were shorter than that, or I don't know. They was like, because everybody, you look at the NBA games, everybody's the same size on the court. You really don't get a feel of how big somebody is.
You can on television. No,
not on television, because everybody's the same size. And so I always shock people when I'm around them. They be like, man, I didn't know you were that big and tall.
So when you were drafted by Boston, you went a little later than you thought, right?
Yeah.
Which drove you. It was your chip on shoulder, right?
Drove me nuts, Skip. You don't even know how I was sitting in that green room. Like one of the last ones called. I was projected to go number 2. I thought it was done deal. Number 2 to Vancouver. Then I only worked out for the top 5 teams. So after it got past the 5th, like Golden State was 5 or Toronto, I was like, where am I going? Like, I had no clue. I'm looking at my mom. I'm looking at my agent. It was so stressful in that green room. And I remember my interview when I got picked 10 and I had no clue about, Boston or Rick Pitino and them.
Yep.
I said, these other 9 teams are going to regret not picking me. I remember saying that at the draft.
Yep.
Because I knew what kind of drive I had, so I could speak it. but I knew I was going to work for that too.
It almost felt to me like the Celtics took you by default, like they hadn't really thought about taking you, but once you fell all the way to 10, it's like, well, wait a second. We had Paul, I don't know where they had you on their board, 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there. And they're like, well, we didn't really do a lot of homework, but how can we not take Paul Pierce at 10? Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was one of the top 5 college players. I was up for National Player of the Year. Everybody had me in the top 5, and when I kind of slipped there, because I think when they were going to take Dirk Nowitzki if he was on the board, but he went 9.
Yep.
And so I kind of like you said, I fell into their lap. You know, things happen for a reason. I'm glad I did. You know, because think about it. If I was thinking now, if I was picked by Vancouver, which is the Memphis Grizzlies now, probably be a whole different career trajectory. Who knows?
You walked in the door in Boston to me at the perfect time, right on time, and you stepped on an NBA floor, and I could just see watching you as a rookie, your body language said, I belong. Like there was no doubt from dribble number 1 that you thought you were the equal of anybody out on the floor as a rookie. Would you say that's how you felt? Yeah.
Absolutely. I felt like a young guy playing against old men because I felt like
exactly.
my game was already mature. I felt like my game was built for the NBA. You know, I was at Inglewood High School to where I was learning the game, but then Roy Williams really taught me the game at Kansas. Yeah. You know, as good as I thought I was coming out of high school, he really taught me the game. So, like, when I stepped on that NBA floor, I was ready to go. You know, I was just like, I knew how to play with other good players. And that's some things that some other players don't know how to do in the NBA. You got to realize everybody was really good before they got to the NBA. And you have to learn to play with other players. And that's what I learned at Kansas, how to play with other good players.
That's good.
And so it really helped me once I made the leap.
So Shaquille O'Neal nicknamed you The Truth because you were. And my friend Bob Ryan, I don't know how well you knew Bob, but he was covering the Celtics.
Yes.
And he used to rave to me about your game, saying it was underappreciated. And he was obviously the biggest Bird fan, as was everybody else in Boston. And you were in the ballpark right away where you could do some of those things. And again, Larry Bird was ground bound. He wasn't a leaper, obviously, or the most athletic guy. And you were doing some of the things that Bird did with your mind as much as your body. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I actually studied Larry too, growing up. You know, just the way he used his pump fakes. I was a really big pump fake guy.
You were.
I could shoot it from long range. I respected his IQ. We have a lot of little similarities as far as playing below the rim, but can get over the rim if we needed to. One of the players like him, Magic Johnson, those guys got me into basketball. You know, it was like I liked, Mike was Mike, but I wasn't going to ever jump like Mike. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, I could steal something from Magic and Bird, IQ, they smart, they play below the rim, and and they really those two really inspired my game and inspired me, because growing up here in Los Angeles in the Inglewood area, watching Magic all these years, and of course the rivalry with him and Larry Bird was really what drove me into the game of hoops.
And by the way, we have come full circle from the Michaels and the Kobes and the Iversons, and now we have a Luka and a Joker.
I know,
who are playing more that kind of basketball, right? That below the rim
dominating. Dominating the game.
Yeah. Maybe
isn't that crazy?
It's crazy because they're doing it as much with their mind as their bodies. I'm pretty sure it's about 50-50 mind body, right, with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just display the highest IQ in basketball, those two. I mean, the way they can just do everything. I mean, everything sets up when you can pass and shoot. So when you can pass and shoot, it sets up so many other parts of your game. You know, I know it sets up drives. It sets up. I mean, they're so far ahead. But people would forget these guys have been pros since teenage years too.
They
That's the
have.
one thing we don't take into account when a lot of the European players come over. They're pros from the day they pick up the basketball, like 13,
Absolutely.
playing against men. And that's why I think that we're behind. We're so far behind as American players, and you can just
Agreed.
see it. Every year, there's more European coming in from wherever, France, wherever, and there's so
Mm-hmm.
much more advanced than us coming out.
Yeah. Yet the one thing that set you apart to me early on was your commitment to the other end of the floor. Maybe Luka and Joker don't have that kind of commitment, but where you won me over was right away as LeBron burst onto the scene. I thought you were the best at guarding LeBron of anybody ever. And I wanted you to go a little deeper into what was the secret of guarding LeBron. And this is explosive LeBron. This is that
Yeah.
early Cleveland LeBron where he could just go off on people because he probably didn't weigh 270 at that point, but he could jump out of the gym and do a lot of athletic things.
Yeah, the thing with LeBron, you have to take away his straight line angles. And he wasn't really a great shooter coming in.
No.
So you have to negotiate the ball screens. You have to negotiate whether you're going to go under or over. And I always went under on him. If he's
Okay.
not hitting no jumpers, you could go under ball screens.
You
You got to
could.
put
Yep.
your hands on him. You got to be kind of a little more physical with him, knock him off his spots. Because I would watch him, and players wouldn't be physical with him.
Mm-mm.
It was just like, so when I played up with him, I wanted to make sure I kept a body on him. I grabbed him. Like, even when he didn't have the ball, just make him work at all times. But, like, before he started getting any kind of consistent jumper and he didn't make free throws consistent, I would just foul him or go under screens until he got more consistent in making those shots. When he got to Miami, he started making shots. And it was just like, okay, that's when he took his game to the next level. But I always welcome the challenge of guarding him because hearing about him, it's crazy. The first time I heard about this kid, he was in high school. And
Yep.
everybody was going to watch his games. I remember Antoine Walker going to watch his games. And I'm like, man, who is this kid? They was like, yeah, he can play in an all-star game right now. Like, out of high school. And I was like, really? He that good? And so I just, like, when he got drafted, I was like, man, I'm going to test him from day one. From
Yep.
day one, I was going at him. I was like, how you going to call this 19-year-old kid a king? Like, what has he done? And I don't know. We
Agreed.
played the same position. And I
You did.
always relish just challenging myself and playing against him.
How much did you try to get in his young head at that point?
Oh, all the time. The thing is, I
Yep.
would always talk to him, and he never used to say stuff, right?
No.
He never talked. I would say little things to him, jab at him, like, especially when he got the free throw line, Skip. I would always talk to him because he would miss crucial free throws.
He would.
I would just,
Yeah.
I know that got to
So
him the
so you
most
would
early
say
in his
something
career.
to him from alongside of the lane before he shot?
Yes,
Okay.
while he's at the line.
Like what? Do you remember?
Because he early reputation, he wasn't making critical free throws. I was
He
like,
wasn't.
well, he don't miss. Like, I would tell him, like, oh, this is that time of the game where he's not gonna make these, y'all. You don't even worry about it. Just get ready to rebound. And then getting a stick in his head. Like,
So-
really, like, literally all the time.
So what do you remember from that 2010 series? It was the conference semifinals. He came in to Boston on a Friday night, and he was spectacular. It was one of the best games I ever saw him play. I forget the numbers, but it was 30, 10 and 10 or whatever. And they went up 2-1.
Right.
And then you put the clamps on him, and he put the clamps on himself, and they lost 4, 5, and 6 to the point that, if you remember, Dan Gilbert eventually accused him of quitting in the series.
Yeah.
And somebody in his camp put out the story to Stephen A. that LeBron had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6 because of a locker room issue. I think it was with Delonte West. And what do you remember about 4, 5, and 6 that year?
Yeah, it was weird because, like, I just remember, like, when we went down 2-1, I said, look, Doc, I remember saying this to everybody on the team. I said, I'm going to put all my energy on the defensive end.
Good.
And that kind of took away from my offense a lot that series. I think we really were carried offensively by Rondo that series, but because I remember putting all my defensive effort, but he didn't seem right. Something didn't seem right. I don't know if it was the combination of whatever he was going through or me just way I was playing against him and stuff.
Maybe,
but I'm not in their locker room. I don't know what's going on. I'm not in their bus. I'm not in their practices. All I know is I'm like, listen, I'm gonna put all my energy in the guarding this dude. And that's it. And we're going to find a way to win this series. Because they were the number 1 seed, I believe. I think they won like 60 games that year.
Yeah.
I think we were like the 4 seed. And then I just knew for some that everybody felt like this was going to be LeBron's last year in Cleveland. You could just, the energies just felt.
You could. Yeah.
The energy just felt like this was it. After we beat him a second time, he was like, number 1 seed, they couldn't get over the hump. And you just knew something was going to happen in Cleveland. That's the energy that you felt in the playoffs and all through that series. And it was just like, it felt good to send him out of Cleveland, though. It did feel good.
It did. And you sent him out. And he did join forces with Dwayne Wade, who I thought was great for him. And it helped to have Chris Bosh, obviously. And it helped to have Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra up above. And yeah, what did you see from him as he sort of grew up in Miami?
Well, the game, I think his legacy-changing game was Game 6 versus us at home after we put him on the ropes again in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Had him on the ropes, yep.
Yeah, that was 2012 maybe? I think so. And it was 2012. We had him on the ropes, and that was the game I felt like LeBron turned the corner. It was probably his second greatest game to date, if not his best game. I remember the game versus Detroit. He scored like 28 or 30 straight.
He did.
But that game right there with all the pressure on Miami Heat to go to the finals, for him to deliver, this was going to be that game where it was going to make or break LeBron. People were like, he's not clutch. He can't deliver. He can't get his team over the hump. And look what all he got. And so that game right there when he just went, he just went nuclear on us. And I don't think there was nothing can do that. Nobody can do anything that day. And I think that really changed his trajectory. I mean, not that he wasn't going to be great, but it really took him to that next level. You know how certain great players just have those games where it's just like, oh, that game took them to the next level. And from that point on, it really changed how we looked at LeBron.
Was he different on the floor that night? Did you get a different aura, body language from him?
Man, he was from out the gate. I just remember how he attacked because the game plan never changed with him. We want him to shoot jumpers and take fadeaways and going to limit his easy drives. And so he just started making those that day. He didn't say a word. You could see the look in his eye. He just had that look, Skip. Sometimes these players have that look. And I used to always see it with Kobe. I used to see it with Iverson, and he had that look that day. He didn't always have it, but that day it was just one of them looks to where it was all business. And he delivered for him. My hat goes off to him for what he was able to do that day, especially in Boston where we were tough to beat. And, it was similar when Jordan had to get past the bad boys of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like similar to that. And, he got over the hump. And then from that point on, that's when he started making his finals runs.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of the finals, you faced Kobe and company twice. You beat them the first time, and then they did get even, though Kobe struggled in that Game 7. How different was it for you guarding Kobe than guarding LeBron?
Wow, that's a good one. Because the Mamba, he just didn't have no let up. He just had no let up. I'm talking about he always had the look. He always felt like he was always coming for your throat for some reason. Like, it was just like he played like a man possessed. And it's so mentally challenging. I just remember it was a point, even before the finals, I think he took like one regular season game. He took 41 shots on me, Skip. I think about 41 shots. This never happened to me before. This was like a few years earlier. He took 41 shots.
Do you remember how many he made?
I think he had 40 points, but it was a point he scored 10 in a row on me. 5 straight buckets. And then we come to the timeout, and coach was like, who's guarded Kobe? I was so pissed. because everybody knew that I was guarding him. I was so pissed. And I said, I yelled at everybody like, I got him. Everybody shut the F up, I got him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wind up like, I think at the end of the game, we wind up winning the game. He missed like the last 5 shots. And I was just like, and I remember just cussing everybody out because they thought I was just going to quit. But that's how relentless he was.
That's it.
And you knew you had to be mentally strong to like play against him. And that's why when I told Doc after like game 1, I said, let me guard him. Or after the half or one of the games, it was like game 3, I was like, let me guard him. I already know what his mindset is. And I know how to attack that. And, you know, I mean, as tough as he was, he just a relentless player, man. He just challenged you so many mental ways. But once I learned how to just deal with that mentally, it helped me, like, moving forward, on all the great players.
How much did he talk to you?
We talked a lot. Man, we talked a lot. We did talk. Between me, him, and Kevin, you can see pictures from that final. We always talking, like, he was just always like, I'm coming at you. Like, he always was going to say something. Like, always. Like, I just remember so much just verbiage just in that series with me, him, and Kevin. It was always us 3.
And would you say at first it was intimidating that he would talk so hard back to you or at you?
It wasn't. I knew him. So it was never intimidating. I know him. You know, I been playing against him for so many years, been playing against him at UCLA. We at this point, we 10 years in, 12 years in. I know him and I know what he about. So it was never intimidating. It was challenging. I actually enjoyed it.
What did it ever get personal at all? Did it ever cross the line, whatever the trash talk was? Oh,
check this out. This is a good one. We beat them in 2008. So in 2009, the All-Star game, I'm on the bench and he's at the free throw line. And I yell from the bench like, he gonna choke like he did in the finals last year. Oof. Man, he literally walked off the free throw line, walked over to the bench and got my face. I thought we were gonna go to blows, Skip, in the All-Star game.
Really?
I thought in the All-Star game. 2009.
Did you stand up?
I stood up. We were face to face right there. I thought we were going to go to blows, Skip, in the All-Star game.
That would have been a scene. I don't know that the commissioner would have loved that, but I get it.
And, no, he was so pissed.
Well, you got him good.
Yeah, I've never seen him this pissed either.
And yet he did get you back in that they won. But if you remember Game 7, and I want to know what you do remember about Game 7, he shot 6 of 24 in Game 7, and they still managed to prevail.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of that was on the shoulders of – I remember Pau Gasol having an outstanding game. I thought he was probably going to be the Finals MVP because I thought he was the difference. Of course, Meta World Peace did his thing, but the game plan was like, hey, listen, we're not going to let Kobe beat us. So if you remember, I remember Meta hits the 3-pointer in Game 7 because we was like, we're going to get the ball out of Kobe's hand. If he makes shots, hats off. And, you know, they were able to step up. But we wasn't going to let number 8, number 24 beat us. And that was the game plan.
And yet Perk didn't play right in Game 7.
Yeah, Perk
did that help Gasol? Yeah. Did that help Gasol have a bigger game?
Absolutely, because we lost that physical presence that, like, Gasol was literally scared of Perk. Like, literally. He used to just push him around, beat him up. He was literally scared of Perk. And it just kind of opened the door once Perk tore his ACL, because we feel like, you know, that 5, we win the series and we have Perk. It was that big of a difference not having him.
And it wouldn't have gone to Game 7, you say?
I don't know if it went 7, but I know that just not having that force to play against Gasol, it was damaging for our defense.
And did you have Kobe most of the time in Game 7? Do you remember?
No, Ray guarded him a lot. I guarded Meta World Peace because Ray, he was too big for Ray. So I couldn't guard him too much unless Ray was out the game because that wasn't a good matchup. Ray guard Meta. So at times I guarded him, but for the most part I was stuck on Ron, and I was the help guy. So I was the one shadowing Kobe, and that's why we made it difficult for him to, shoot high percentages.
Hey, Meta is in Ron Artest. He was a load, man.
Yes.
6'8" and strong as a bull, man.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. But he did make 1 3 that will go down as historic in his career.
Yeah, he was shooting 30. That was the game plan. He was shooting 30-something%, like 31% or 29% on the series, something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the game plan. So we like, hats off. He makes that. We deserve to lose.
All right. Now let's go back for a moment before we get to the playoffs, and let's talk about LeBron. He's still going strong. You can argue stronger than ever at 40 in year 22. And now that you hark back to all those battles you had with him, how stunning is it to Paul Pierce that he's playing at this level as you and I speak?
Yeah, I mean, we never gonna see nothing like this. Like all his records that he's attaining every time he steps on the court would probably never be broken in our lifetime. It's just amazing how he sets the blueprint for these guys. Once he said, I've spent so much on my body, and now you see other guys around the league do the same thing, and guys are playing at a high level even longer. I mean, we can witness this. We're so enamored with LeBron in his 22nd season, but even look at Steph Curry. He's 37. Look at Kevin Durant. He's 37. I remember getting out the bed at 37, not knowing if I was going to be able to walk that day.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And so, to see these guys playing at such a high level at such an older age is really incredible. But it's just a testament of them taking care of their bodies and being lucky for the most part. You have to be lucky, Skip. You can't you have to be lucky to not have any major injuries or surgeries. You have to take care of your body, and those things have to fall in line. And you have to be really good for a long time. And he's been able to do all of those things.
Yeah, and to your point about being blessed, he's never had one surgery. No knee, no shoulder, no Achilles, no nothing. And yet he does obviously take care of himself. And I wonder, do you look back and wish you had known later in your career what he knows now about longevity?
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, absolutely. I mean, you think you work your butt off, and I had a lot of small injuries, though, like a broken hand, a broken toe, little things like that. Never no surgery. But, of course. But you understand the athletes, as time goes on, the athletes get better. They play longer. I remember growing up, a 10-year career was a long career in the NBA. And now we consider 16, 17 years is pretty long. And now we're seeing guys play 20-plus years. Chris Paul and LeBron. I mean, Chris Paul played 82 games in his 20th season.
He did.
That's
82
crazy.
games?
Yeah, that's insane. In his 20th season. We weren't seeing that type of things, but, I played long enough, and could I have squeezed a couple more years? Maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
I got it. All right. Let's talk now. Let's talk about your Boston Celtics as they enter these playoffs. Do you feel as strongly about them right here, right now, as you felt a year ago about your Celtics?
Yeah, I do. I've been watching the way they've been playing lately. Jason Tatum is playing at another level than a year ago, I believe. And when Porzingis and all the guys are healthy, Skip, there's nobody beating the Celtics in a 7-game series. I mean, I just seen the last few weeks of the season that it seems like Porzingis is coming into his own now, getting his rhythm. We already know about Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, these guys, what they bring to the table. And then you got old Drew Holiday over there, just a backbone, and Al Horford. I mean, just top to bottom. There's Cleveland is good, and I'll give them that. But I watched us. We lost to Cleveland twice. We weren't healthy in neither of those 2 losses. We were missing Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday in one of them, and then the second game, we were up 23 points, and they came back and beat us. And it was just but we didn't have our full team. I just don't see it. I don't see anybody in the Western Conference either. Yeah, it'd be great. Maybe the Lakers can get there. I actually think the Lakers can come out the West.
Okay.
I really do.
Stay for a second on the Celtics. Jaylen Brown does have, and I'm a big Jaylen Brown guy. Like when I'm rooting against your team, he scares me a little more than Jason Tatum does, but I've always said that. And he was the MVP of the conference finals and obviously the NBA finals. And now he's got let's just call it a minor knee issue that he had to get an injection for, and it could hobble him a little bit. Does that concern you a little bit?
It would concern. It is. I mean, Skip, all those things are concerning when you talk about trying to make a deep playoff run, because we know as the further you go in the playoffs, that body, you get banged up. And if this is a situation to where you probably sit him in the first round, I probably would if it's something that can linger. Because when you get deep in the playoffs, you feel it. I'm telling you, feel it, Skip. By the time you get to the conference finals, your body and knees and elbows to your legs and small sprained ankles, you feel it. Like, so hopefully it's something he can control and they can find ways. The good thing, they can find ways to rest him. You know, that's how good we are. Like, you can literally rest Jalen in the first round. You get a week off right now for the play-in, and then really, if you want to take a couple of weeks off, I would sit him if it's something that I feel like it'll linger down the road as they go further in the playoffs.
All right. Does it concern you at all that your Celtics broke the all-time record for three-point attempts this regular season, and obviously they set the record for three-point makes? They were only 11th in three-point shooting percentage, but they're taking a high volume. Right. So this can be live and die by the three on occasion. Does that concern you at all?
It does concern me because, like, when they get three-point happy and they've lost games, I remember it was like a few weeks ago they took 63 threes in the game and they lost the game. And I'm like, because it takes away from them attacking the basket. It's like, where... Like when you settle so much, it allows teams, if those shots aren't falling, teams get back in the race, get back in the game, because they've given up big leads throughout the season. Like 20-point leads that they've given up because they're settling for threes instead of sometimes attacking the basket. So it's a little concerning, but they shoot the ball so well. It's like, that's who they are. That's how they won last year. That's how they won 60-plus games this year. So... But I do believe there's a fine line on knowing, like, hey, guys, you know, we got to start attacking the basket. Because there will be a situation where they shoot like 10 straight threes. And it's like, it's time to attack
All right.
So it's a little concerning, a little.
When you look at the rest of the East, you brought up Cleveland. Obviously, there's some threat. Is there anybody else that scares you at all?
No, not really. Like, the Knicks were supposed to be that team, and they've been very disappointing. They haven't beat nobody at the top. I agree. They've been a little disappointing. And outside of, and Milwaukee doesn't have Dame. Indiana, I like Indiana actually. They're all right, but they're not beating not Celtics in the same game series. So I think it's a two-man race. It's a two-man race between Cleveland and the Celtics. But outside of that, there's nobody else. And
what's the difference between Boston and Cleveland? What will be the difference maker?
Just our experience, I believe. Like, I think we have a stronger bench. You know, when you get guys like, and our X factors. You know, they did a great job with adding Hunter. I thought that was a big move for them because they needed bigger wings to guard Jalen and Jason. But we have so many X factors. Derek White, such an X factor. You know, can hit big shots late in the game. Like when you think it's going to be Tatum or Brown, you got another guy that hits big shots. I mean, Porzingis is such a great X factor.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday. Think about that. Like, no other team has these type of X factors. Like, these guys can just hit big shots when you need them. And we already know what Jalen did last year, and we already know what Tatum does. So I think the X factors are a big key for our X factor. Like, our X factor for our championship team was James Posey. Loved James Posey. He would bail you out with big shots. And the Celtics have about 3 or 4 guys like that.
Well, they got Peyton Pritchard. Cleveland's got Ty Jerome comes off the bench for them and plays at a high level. But your guy comes in as like 6th man of the year and shoots threes with such conviction, and he is capable of making like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the West. And I got to tell you, you brought up the Lakers and you completely overlooked my team from my hometown of Oklahoma City. And it's clear that not many people outside of Oklahoma City have a lot of respect for who they are and what they have accomplished in the regular season. like scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe in what they'll be in the playoffs? What 1 to 10, what would you give them on your belief level in them?
I give them an 8.
Okay.
I give them an 8. It's just because they're so young, Skip, and they're really good. When you look at the eye test and you they check all the boxes: defense, offense, superstar, MVP
Every
candidate,
box. Yep.
depth. But that youth right there, that can be a factor, especially if they have this is the thing. If they have to play the Lakers, I am not picking OKC.
Okay.
I seen what the Lakers did to them a couple weeks ago when they went into OKC and just beat them down and did
They
a second
whomped them.
game.
Yep. It was the first game they beat them.
Yeah, the first game. The second game,
Yeah.
Luka got thrown out when they
Got
were up
tossed.
1.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, it's just something about playing against superstars and being a young player. You gonna look up in that locker room, it's gonna have bright lights. It's gonna be all the media that you covered during the season. This is different now. And for them young guys to see that could be intimidating. The media coverage. I remember my first playoff when we went from having just a couple, and then it was like, whoa, it's kind of intimidating. You go in there and 100 cameras is on you. The production of the playoffs, the hype around it. Then you got to play against LeBron or Luka. That could be intimidating for a young team. And so I just don't know. I don't know if they're ready to take that next step yet.
All right. So let me remind you, SGA led the league in scoring, and he was number 1 in defensive win shares. So he was the best scorer and the best defender all rolled into one, which is an MVP year. And he's not that young. He's been doing this for a while. And they did take Luka and company to the wire last year. And SGA lost his mind in the last seconds and went and fouled PJ Washington in the corner on a 3-point shot, or they might have gotten it back to Oklahoma City for a game 7 against Luka and company. So they have SGA. And Paul, what they did to the Western Conference, which is flat out stacked to the point that Phoenix didn't even make the playoffs, didn't make the play-in tournament. They won it by 16 games, which is an all-time record margin in any conference ever. And their margin of winning individual games per game was 12.9 points per game, which shattered the all-time record of the 71 Bucks and the 72 Lakers, both of whom won championships, but you can argue they were more veteran teams. And they were Oklahoma City number 1 in defense and number 1 in 3-point defense. And they went 29-1 against the East. They lost 1 game by 7 at Cleveland. So they went 29-1. And they did beat your Celtics both times by 13 at home in Oklahoma City and 6 at Boston. So it's hard when you say they check every box, that they put an exclamation point in every box during the regular season, because just on stats, I don't think any team has ever had a greater regular season than this team. That's what the stats say. Now, the eye test could tell you different. And they did get blown out at home by the Lakers not too long ago. And they did lose that cup final, that in-season tournament game to Milwaukee. They got blown off the floor. It was 97-81. So those were their 2 bad losses. But they added Isaiah Hartenstein, who gave them a little muscle in the middle that Chet can't quite give them. But they are the deepest team. They can just come at you from everywhere. So to me, I got Lakers and Thunder in the conference finals, and I got Thunder in 7 over the Lakers. But you can argue you got Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. Man, it's a lot of stuff back, because that's the greatest 3-guard backcourt I've ever seen, just on those 3 guards.
Yeah, but let's Skip, all those numbers are great, but does OKC intimidate anybody? Like Shea is a really good player. He could have won MVP last year, but I don't know. It just seemed like there's an aura missing from over there.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
All right. I think that's what the world thinks. Yep.
Yeah. It just feels that way. It's like OKC is good. Yeah, everything sounds good, looks good, checks out good, but it's just nothing. Like after Shea, you're saying Jalen Williams can carry them. If you find a scheme to slow down Shea, is
Yeah.
Jalen Williams good enough? Is Chet Holmgren good enough? Is Harkenstein? Are all these guys, now they're deep now, Caruso, are these guys capable?
Isaiah Joe.
Isaiah Joe, all these guys.
Yeah.
So who outside of
Lou
Shea?
Dort. Yeah. Aaron
Yeah,
Wiggins.
they're deep, but
Kaysen
all of them ain't going to
Wallace.
play in the
Yep.
playoffs. As you get
Yep.
further in the playoffs, that roster going to shrink.
Yeah.
And
So
who are you going to be able to depend on?
So I think if we took your, what was the championship year, 08 Celtics, if we took your Celtics with you and obviously KG and Ray and company and Rondo, if I took that team against Oklahoma City, you guys would be quietly laughing that they just ain't got it. You would not have been at all afraid of this team, right?
Not at all. They're missing something, Skip. It's just that, think about this. Their second best player, who's their second best player?
Jalen Williams made the All-Star team. Yeah.
Yeah, he made the All-Star team. Great young player. Think about these other teams. Think about what the Lakers, who's the Lakers' second best player? LeBron.
He is. Yeah.
Who's their third best player? Reeves?
Hey, he's become a star to me, but he's averaging
100%.
like 25 and 5. He is really good.
That's intimidating right there, though.
Yeah.
That's pretty intimidating. And you look at the teams at the top, like Houston Rockets. Nothing really intimidating by them, but they are the second best record in the West, but nobody's talking about them. Something is intimidating about the Joker. It just is. He's dominant. It's just something's intimidating about Ant-Man. It just is. Something's intimidating even about with Ja Morant. I don't see that anything's intimidating in LKC. And Shea is a great player. I can't take nothing away from what he's been doing, but nobody's scared of him.
So if Oklahoma City draws Ja in Memphis in the first round, would you pick Ja in Memphis to upset them?
No, they're not ready.
Not ready?
They're not ready.
Okay. So if Oklahoma City, let's say they get past the first round and they have to play the Clippers or the Nuggets, who do you like, Clippers versus Nuggets?
I like the Clippers. I'm telling you.
I do too. I agree.
The Clippers can make a run here.
Yep. I'm with you on this one.
Kawhi has been playing Jordan-esque over the last month and a half.
He has.
And if James Harden shows up, this is going to be a problem for everybody. They're well coached. They're deep.
They're deep.
They got star power. See what I'm saying? That's intimidating right there. I don't see OKC's not getting past Clippers because I think Clippers are going to win that series.
Yeah, I do too. And it will be a battle royal against that LA team. And I think they'll have to beat that LA team and then have to beat the other LA team to get to the Celtics. And it's an uphill climb. It's going to be a battle. Okay, so big picture, how shocked were you by the Luka trade? What do you think of the Luka trade?
Skip, I was sitting down eating dinner at Mastro's, and a guy comes up to me and said, "Luka to the Lakers." I said, "Man, get out my face." I thought he was just like, it didn't seem real.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It didn't seem. And initially, my initial thought was like, they can't play together. LeBron and Luka, they both need the ball.
Agreed.
It's going to be tough. That was my initial thought.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow, LeBron really gave the keys up. He gave the keys.
He did.
Up to Luka. I feel like LeBron's been wanting to give the keys up for a while, though, but Anthony Davis didn't want them.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect spot for LeBron now, that he'll play off the ball. He doesn't have to control everything. You got a guy that you can trust with the ball. And I was just like, maybe LeBron will be done after this year. This looked like this is extending LeBron.
Maybe.
And they're a legit contender. I just didn't see it when it first happened. They're a legit contender. And you got to remember, Luka just went to the finals with this Dallas team and now with Kyrie Irving. Now you have LeBron and then like Luka by himself was making deep playoff runs. With he had guys, but not at this caliber. And so that's what's going to be scary this year about the Lakers because how well Luka and LeBron have figured it out together, along with Austin Reeves.
I'm with you that LeBron looks like he's playing freer than he's ever played because there's not a lot of pressure and expectation on him to orchestrate and carry the load and be both the point guard and the scoring guard or scoring forward. And now it feels like whatever he does is gravy to me, and he's in a real comfort zone.
Absolutely. He don't have to be great every night now. I just saw a game. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well towards the end of the season, but Luka's going to have 30, and Austin Reeves can help pick up the slack.
He can.
Like, this is going to be a scary team for anybody to play. If LeBron doesn't have to be your best player, that's intimidating, Skip. That's intimidating.
Okay, but I have become an Anthony Davis fan because there are nights going back a year ago when I'd say that's the best player in the league both ways. And obviously he walks in the door and he got hurt, and then Kyrie got hurt and was gone. So we didn't get to see what could happen in Dallas. And I still don't think it was a bad trade for Dallas because they didn't like the way Luka took care of himself, which he doesn't. And I don't think they like Luka jacking up so many threes. And remember, against you guys last year in the finals, he went 11 for 45 from three, shot 24%. And that was a big reason Dallas couldn't even test you.
For crying out loud, he carried a 5 seed to the finals, right? Weren't they the 5 seed?
Yeah.
I believe. They had no business being there. But he carried them there. Like, that was the worst trade in NBA history, Skip. It was the worst trade in NBA history.
Yeah.
You traded a generational talent for an older Anthony Davis, who I don't know if he can stay healthy for a whole season at that age moving forward. You're going to have to bank on, you guys think you guys going to win a championship in the next 5 years? Who's closer to a finals, Dallas or the Lakers right now as we sit? It's the Lakers.
Well, obviously, yeah, but Nico Harrison was betting on this year that they could just flip a switch and make a run with AD and Kyrie, and obviously Jason Kidd coaching, and that went right out the window immediately. So
right
it's hard. Out the window.
Yeah,
and I think he was looking at, he was doubling down on this year and maybe next year with AD, and then after that, all bets are off because he's going to become an older player.
Right.
And Kyrie is going to become an older player. So he went for broke and he busted. Yep.
Yeah, so now it's looking bad. Like, and then it tells me, like, what does this say about ownership? You know, think about the 2 new owners. Tried to make a splash and it just completely, like the guy in Phoenix, you know, they splashed and tried to get KD thinking they can make a championship team, and then this ownership trades Luka. It's just like, it's some bad owners out here, Skip. Like, it really is. And I don't, it's just they don't know much about the game, and they just want to make a splash, and it just doesn't look good. Like, I feel like we need more guys who've been around the game and former players to get more in the ownership groups.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's just
well,
not. It's
hopefully that's happening. Yeah. I thought that was going to be LeBron, but now it feels like he's going to play for 2 or 3 more years.
It feels like he'll play for 5 more years.
5 more years. It looks like it. I don't disagree. All right, I'm going to double down in the end on this. I got Thunder over Celtics in the NBA Finals in 7 games in Oklahoma City. I got them winning in 7 games, and you are free to laugh at me if you so choose.
I actually have a conference finals featuring the Clippers and the Lakers.
Okay.
With the Lakers beating the Clippers in 7, playing my Celtics, and I'll take Celtics in 5.
Celtics in 5?
In 5.
Wow. Okay.
They lost 3 games last year, Skip. They lost 3 games in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. No, they were spectacular, but Luka was 11 for 45. They got to play the 5 seed in the finals, right?
Yeah. So,
well, I can tell you the commissioner would love your pick because they would love to see Lakers and Celtics in the finals, harking back to glory days, and you would be in your element in Boston if it was Lakers Celtics.
Oh, absolutely. We warming up the duck boats again, Skip.
Are you?
Warming them up.
Right.
We got
well,
we dusted them off. We dusted them off.
I think LeBron is putting your prediction up on his personal bulletin board to remember that Paul Pierce said Boston in 5 over the Lakers.
Yeah, come on.
You've at least got to give him 6 because it is LeBron and Luka and Austin Reeves, right?
Yeah, they do have Austin Larry Bird Reeves.
Bird Reeves, God. All right, so you're sticking with 5.
I'm sticking with 5, Skip.
Okay, remember I said Thunder in 7, and I will check in with you on this.
All right.
I think, I'd make you a bet on this, but I need some points or something because I'm picking the hopeless underdog according to you, right?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. You picking the favorite, Skip. They're the favorite over the Celtics to win it all. Have you
They
checked?
are.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go dinner at Mastro's on the Thunder. You got it?
Deal.
All right. Deal. Dinner at Mastro's. I got my
Deal.
Thunder. Hey, Paul, this has been a blast. I appreciate you and I appreciate your time.
Yes.
And I will be checking in with you as these playoffs unfold.
Definitely. I can't wait.
All right. Way to go. Appreciate you, man. That is it for Skip One-on-One. And I will see you next week.